Reminder, Minotauros are a sweep away from clinching one of 4 playoff spots in the North American Hockey League Central Division after a sweep last weekend over the Austin Bruins on home ice in front of 2 good crowds at the Pepsi Rink at Mesa Arena. Tauros are off to Bismarck this weekend for 2 games against their in-state rival, the Bismarck Bobcats. It's the week of March 1st. This is Tauros Weekly, presented by Farmers Union Insurance. We're live at Elevation here at the Mining Country Club. I'm Nick Hulberg alongside of Ken Oda.
Good to be here, Nicky.
Yeah, thanks for stepping in. Some technical difficulties tonight, so not the full shebang we normally give, but we still have the players here for the interviews and plenty to talk about as we come down the stretch. Tauros in a pretty good situation right now, a couple wins away from clinching a top playoff spot.
Certainly. I mean, the first step is getting into the playoffs. Second step's winning the division, but you can't do that until you get in. So hopefully we can take care of that this weekend on a 5-game win streak going down to Bismarck. Things are clicking on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, it's a fun time of the year for the Tauros in that top spot inside the Central. Bismarck in the 5th spot right now. We'll go through that in a moment. On tonight's show, we'll talk to Alex Adams and Luke Davison. Wyatt Waselunchuck, the goaltender coach, will be here as well.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah, he's not here yet, but we'll hopefully see him in a moment. Your thoughts overall on the weekend, though? A couple home games for the Tauros on the back end. Seemed like things went pretty well at the home rink.
It was a good weekend. It was hard to know what to expect coming in with Austin's a team we hadn't seen since the last weekend of October. You know, they're a division rival, but for whatever reason, the way the schedule's played out, we haven't seen much of them. They've been up and down all year, and you know, we kicked them down into the basement of the division. But I tell you what, that was a team that didn't look like a last place team. A couple of really good hockey games that finished up 1-goal games, both of them.
Parity inside the Central Division, always something that's very interesting. Austin currently now on a 3-game losing streak. Let's go back to last weekend. Here's the stats from it. On Friday night, the Tauros beat the Bruins by a score of 4-3. That was in front of 1,423 fans. Martinson had his first goal back as a Tauros, a big one for him.
Yeah, it was good to see him get the monkey off his back. I know he's been snake bit. He missed an empty netter his first game back, and as a guy, you see it a lot. Guys who come back down from the USHL seem to struggle a little bit. I don't know if it's because they weren't playing every night up there, is getting their rhythm back. But he's looked good the last few games. It was good to see one finally go in for him.
Alex Adams had 2 goals in the game. Reed Stephenson had 2 assists. Talbot had a goal. Murray makes 22 saves. How about Stephenson and Adams, a pair of rookies that have just been sensational in the top 25 in scoring in the North American League?
Yeah, I had 2 guys who, rookies, you had high expectations. Alex Adams was committed before he even got here, and Reed's a guy who committed just a week ago, I believe. So we had high expectations for him, but I don't think anyone expected them to be this good this quick.
When you look to Saturday night, this game was played in front of 1,379. 3-2 is the score in favor of the Tauros. They knock off the Bruins again. Stephenson, 2 goals in the game. Luke Davison on the back end gets a goal for the Tauros. Park comes in and makes 19 saves. Boy, the Tauros have some trouble with picking who they're going to go in goal each and every night. Park has really emerged as one of the best in the division.
Certainly he has, and he's another guy who started the year with us, then bumped up to the USHL for about a month there, came back down and struggled for those first couple starts coming down. But really, since the start of maybe Thanksgiving, he's been lights out. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision every night like Marty does.
Not an easy one. The veteran goaltender Murray, of course, playing well. We'll get into those numbers in a second. But Park, the rookie that has really been lighting it up. Let's look at the forward side of things in the top 10 in Tauros. Derek Frentz, 43 points on the year for him. That comes to the tune of 12 goals, 31 assists on the season. Alex Adams, we mentioned, 8th in rookies in the entire North American Hockey League, sets a new record for Tauros in the most goals in the season with 21. That's not too shabby.
No, it's not. Johnny Walker had the record from 2 years ago. He had put up 20. He probably would have topped that last year if he hadn't been traded to Topeka in the Jennings trade. But Al came in this year and as a rookie putting up 21 goals, setting a new franchise record. Again, you didn't expect that. You expected big things, but probably not record-setting things.
Tyler Jeanson on the map as well for the Tauros, 40 points for him on the year, 16 goals, 24 assists. Down to Reed Stephenson, 11th in the league for rookies, 17 goals, 22 assists, 39 points for Stephenson, the Manitoba product on the season, 31 points for Nate Pionk and Zach Ross. Then Nolan Sawchuk, a D-man, climbs into the top 10 for the Tauros, and Sawchuk, a player right now with 4 goals, 23 assists on the season, 27 points overall. He's 14th in the North American League for defenders with points on the year. That's a good rookie campaign.
It certainly is. You talk about rookies who come in and exceeded expectations. I think Nolan Sawchuk probably exceeded his expectations by leaps and bounds. This is the kid who was at the top prospect tournament this week and has represented the Tauros well there. And really all year, you look at his plus-minus, I think he's plus 26, which is second among D-men in the league. He's been a solid guy on that back end. wouldn't be surprised if he comes back committed from top prospects.
You know that you're on a good hockey team when Chase Springman is number 8 in scoring for the Tauros, the veteran. Again, 26 points for him, 10 goals, 16 assists on the season, averaging over a half a point per game. We'll look at those leaders all time, and Chase Springman, he's in the mix to maybe climb into that top spot when this thing is all said and done.
It's going to be a battle for him here. He's about 9 points back with 12 games to play, so Chase is going to have to pick it up a little bit more than that half a point a game he's been getting. But certainly we've seen Chase as a streaky guy over the last 2 years. If he gets hot, there's no reason that he couldn't pass Christian Mose down the stretch here.
Jack Murphy, who was traded to Austin, had 2 goals on the weekend for the Bruins against the Tauros. Nice to see his homecoming go well for him. He's still in the top 25 for the Tauros, top 10, for the Tauros. Jake Diddle with 25 points on the year. The D-man, the captain on the back end, that's the top 10 for the Tauros. Let's look at the all-time points leaders now, and it's still Christian Mose that sits at the top of the ladder, 101 points in his career with the Tauros. Chase Springman, 92. He's only 9 points back, and Springman on pace right now with the goals 4 per game, sitting on what should be 98 if he continues through on that. But you mentioned a hot streak for one of these guys, a 3-4 point night a couple times. He could really land himself in the record books here for the Tauros.
Certainly, I haven't looked up the numbers for his career, but just memory serves, Chase has always lit up the Bobcats. So with 2 games this weekend, if he can get hot, maybe put up 4 or 5 this weekend, suddenly getting to 101 doesn't seem so hard.
Christian Mose at the top, Chase Springman second, then Johnny Walker and Derek Frentz both tied with 81 points. Frentz is on pace for 91 when this thing's all said and done. Jeanson's on pace for 80. He's currently tied with Jaden Martin with 71 on the year right now.
And, another guy to keep an eye on, Zach Bross is at 62, and so is Jake Diddle. So either one of those guys gets hot down the stretch, they can get themselves into the top 5 as well.
Let's look at the standings inside the North American Hockey League Central Division and those records and why the Tauros are so good. You saw the numbers there from the leading point getters. We'll go to the goaltenders in a moment, but the Tauros, 5th best record in the entire North American Hockey League, sitting on a 13-14-4 mark. They've won 5 straight, 7-3 in their last 10, 64 points in the division. The next closest is Minnesota, the Wilderness. They're 8 points back, but the Tauros, arguably one of the best, if not the best in the league.
Certainly, you saw it just this couple weeks ago when the Wilderness came here. We got the win. We took the last 3 games we played against them. There's no one in this division who I think would be a favorite against us in a playoff series. The Wilderness season series would probably be about a toss-up, but I think with the additions of O'Connor on the back end, I think our decor's solidified here. We've got a couple of good tenders in Johnson and Huff coming in, who will be joining us once the Minnesota high school season's over, and of course Colby Enns from Minot High joining us this week now that the high school season's over here in North Dakota. I think we're a deep team. No one would be the favorite over us in a series, and certainly, like I said, maybe the Wilderness, the only team that you would even consider it a toss-up.
And they're 8 points back. They're in second currently. Brookings currently in third. They're 14 points back. Aberdeen currently in the 4th and final playoff spot. They're 16 points behind the Tauros in the top spot. But keep an eye on Bismarck. They've won 3 in a row. They're 20 points back from Minot. They're not worried about the Tauros right now. They're just trying to get into a playoff spot, which makes these games this weekend that much bigger.
It certainly does. Not that we care too much about the Bobcats, but I did take a look at their schedule. They have a lot left with Austin and Brookings. So while the Bobcats are on the outside looking in right now, I think 8 of their last 10 games are against last place Austin and against Brookings. So they kind of control their own destiny. I think there's a chance they could sneak in and we could see them in the first round again.
The Bruins are currently the last place team in the division, number 6 overall. They've lost 5 in a row. They're 23 points back from the Tauros on the year, but like you just mentioned, the parity inside the league, always good. In your mind, the mathematical equation for the Tauros to lock in one of these spots, I mentioned a sweep on the weekend. Can you break that down in a sense? I know you're better at the math stuff than I am, but in a sense, mine with a few wins here in a row, they're definitely going to lock it in.
We're definitely in. Right now, the Bobcats are they're sitting on 44 points, but the number of games they have left, they can get to 70. So we really need 5. We're at 66, I think. I think that's wrong. I don't think I updated that on there. So I think we're at 66 now. So we need 4 points to keep them out to get to the 70. So if we go and win on Friday night, the best they'd be able to get to is 68. We'd be at 68. So that would just be a matter of getting that one more point. which an overtime loss would do. So a regulation win and an overtime loss, and we've locked our playoff spot this weekend.
The goaltenders are a big reason why the Toros have been so successful this year. When you look at the goaltending numbers, Lucas Murray's carried the majority of the workload, 31 games played for him, 18-9-3 here this year for the 20-year-old, 2.83 goals against average, 904% save percentage. Those are great numbers. But when you look at Austin Park, 10-3-1 in the 16 games he's played, he sits on a 2.25 goals against average and a 9.26 save percentage. Really seems like there's a good goaltender battle going, and these kids obviously pushing each other.
Certainly they are, and Lucas just went to Top Prospects this week. He had a great showing there, stopped 24 of the 25 shots he saw. He was very close to being the only goaltender at the tournament to not give up any goals, but he got one. The South got one past him late in the third on Tuesday, but Lucas performed really well there. He's shown he's a pressure goaltender, and obviously Austin's come in here what was supposed to be a backup role, and he's won at least a right to split time here down the stretch and see who will be the guy going into the postseason.
Marty Murray, the head coach of the Toros and the head coach of the Central Division at that All-Star tournament. Just a little rundown on how the Toros performed at the annual Top Prospects.
We're the first place team, and our guys showed why. The Central Division put up 6 goals over the 2 games. Toros scored 2 of them and had assists on 2 of the others. So 4 of the 6 goals included Toros. Hit the Toros Facebook page, official Minatoros Hockey, and see Zach Ross's goal. It was probably the best goal I've seen scored at Top Prospects in my 8 years in this league. It was unreal. He split 2 defenders at the red line, and then beat 2 guys at the red line, split 2 defenders in the zone, and then just completely faked the goalie out, went top shelf off his backhand. It was an unreal move by Bross to get that goal, and that got the win, which Lucas Murray was credited with on Monday. That actually gave the Central Division 10 wins in a row at Prospects, but that streak finally ended yesterday when the South got the 5-2 win, but Derek Frentz had a goal and an assist for Team Central in the loss yesterday, and Ditz had an assist as well. So the Toros performed well there, but not to pick on some of the other teams in the division, but their guys didn't provide much help. I will say one other guy who did was former Toro Jack Murphy put up a goal. He was representing Austin after Misiak committed last week. Murph was the fill-in, and he scored a goal as well. So there was a ton of Toro flavor to that Central Division performance.
Overall, your thoughts on that Top Prospects event? That's one of the greatest events in all of junior hockey. There's scouts from the top end, National Hockey League, all the way down to D1 to D3. Club hockey clubs are there representing. It's kind of a really fascinating event.
It really is. There were 253 scouts, I believe, was the final announced number there from, as you mentioned, all low-level college, club hockey, all the way up through NHL scouts there. The NAHL put out some video of scouts talking to guys, and it looked like every guy coming off the ice, someone was talking to him. It's an excellent opportunity, and that's really what this league is about. As much as we want to talk about winning the division or winning a Robertson Cup and bringing the cup back here to Minot, the primary goal is to move these guys on to college, and an event like that is the way you do it. It's very similar to the showcase event that kicks off the season. There's just scouts everywhere, and it really is what helps move these guys on.
We'll talk more about that when you join us again, and we preview the weekend against Bismarck. But up next, we'll talk to Luke Davison, a defender and a returning defenseman for the Toros. Again, our apologies on the technical difficulties here tonight. Special thanks to Farmers Union Insurance and Elevation here at the Minot Country Club for hosting us each and every week for Tauros Weekly. Luke Davison steps in now. And Luke, first of all, thanks for some time here tonight. Good seeing you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Nice to be here.
Looked like you had a good weekend. I was off at state high school hockey for North Dakota with the Minot High Magicians and the radio broadcast, but according to the score sheet, you had a nice weekend.
Yeah, it was a good one. Got lucky on Saturday night. It was a good weekend.
Talk a little bit about what that Pepsi rink's been like to play in. Once that thing got constructed, you guys move over there. It certainly has elevated the Toros game and just the overall game atmosphere. What's it like for a player on the ice playing in that rink?
Yeah, it's surreal. I mean, I think of it as kind of like a college atmosphere kind of rink. It's way too nice for us, to be honest. But I think playing in the locker room we have, all like the bells and whistles that we get, I think it just elevates our play, because we're handed all that, so we might as well work for it, show that we deserve it, kind of thing.
top team in the Central right now, and you're on the back end, a guy that's not known for scoring a whole lot of goals, but doing your job on the back end. Boy, those goaltenders helping out back there as well. What's your view on that, and how much easier does it make your job when the team's scoring 3.24 goals a game and your goaltenders are giving up less than that on any given night?
Yeah, it's makes it pretty easy. I mean, Marty and Nige can't get too mad at us defensemen. We keep winning games, and Murray and Park keep shutting people out, so it's nice. It's nice to have people like that on our team.
What's practice like when the head coach is off at the top prospects tournament? A whole lot changed during those few days of practice?
Not really. Nigel really ran a tight ship. We had a lot of skill drills. It wasn't too taxing on our bodies, but we didn't have as many guys. But we got a lot accomplished, and Nigel did a great job.
13 points for you on the season overall. Where do you rank yourself on performance level A through F? Are you satisfied with where this campaign has gone for you?
I'd say like a B minus, B plus, somewhere around there.
Moving forward for not only you in this club, what do you think the major Achilles heel for this team is if you guys want to win a championship? Is there anything major that hops off in your mind that needs to be corrected before you guys make a long playoff run here?
I'd say we can always keep the puck out of our net a little bit more. We're pretty good at defense, in my opinion, but there's always room for improvement.
You got a new kid coming into the locker room now in Colby Enns. He played for the Minot High Magicians, and just a young guy, a junior in high school, a kid that's going to have a lot of fans in the house watching him play. What do you tell a youngster like that joins you on the back end?
Colby's a good kid. He's really got a good head on his shoulders, and he was with us in training camp and stuff, so we all know him a little bit. So, getting used to the teammates isn't really a big deal because everybody's already known each other, and he kind of knows us all too. I think playing in his hometown is going to be pretty cool for him. Like you said, he's going to have a lot of fans there, hopefully a lot of girls. But we kind of just tell him, play your game. Don't try to do anything too special, unless you can. Right?
For you, what was the biggest memory of your first game in the North American League? Do you remember that day, or getting the call that you were joining the club, anything like that? Anything really stand out in your mind as a memory from when you first started in the North American League?
Yeah, I'd say hanging out with all the guys was probably my biggest memory of my first game. I didn't really know what to expect coming in because, in high school, everybody on my team was real serious. We didn't really joke around a lot before the games. And came in, and guys like Johnny Walker and Lizzo, you got two polar opposite kind of guys. And it was great. Those two good role models for all of us that were with them, and they're doing great right now in juniors in college.
On to this weekend, Bismarck's the opponent. Obviously, you've been around for this rivalry for some time now, and this is a team that's hungry for a playoff spot. You guys are trying to snag a playoff spot of your own, but you guys are in a much better situation than Bismarck. What do you expect out of the Cats this weekend?
I expect them to come hard. They always do, especially in their barn. They're a real physical team. They like to hit, and it gets a little nasty, a little chippy at times, but they're a fun team to play against, and it's always fun to win there.
Best of luck on the weekend, and thanks for joining us here for Tauros Weekly. Always good talking to you.
Yeah, you too.
That's Luke Davison. We'll talk to Alex Adams next, who will join us here. He's the team goal leader, and he set a record for the Tauros with the most goals in a season with 21. Little technical difficulties again tonight if you're just joining us. That's why there's no commercials tonight. Thanks for joining us here, just talking about your 21 goals on the year. Boy, that's pretty impressive for a rookie, huh? How do you feel about that?
Obviously it's a pretty good feeling, and the overall goals of the season is still up in the air, so we still got to try to figure that part out too.
Talk a little bit about how things are going right now in the locker room and your thoughts overall on this season. You guys are in first place. You've been there all the way since September. You come into the North American League after a standout high school career. This year really couldn't have gone much better in your mind, or is there some things that you'd like to see change moving forward?
You can't really complain at all when we haven't lost that or left that first place spot all season, and hopefully we can go in playoffs and keep playing the way we are right now.
You passed Johnny Walker, who 2 years ago had 20 goals, the franchise record for goals. Do you know Johnny Walker at all? Anything about him?
I've heard plenty of stories about him, but I don't know him personally.
For you, does that record, I know that you're a team first kind of guy, kind of like you alluded to, but how much more do you want to build on that just to see if anyone can track you down in the near future?
I'm not too worried about it. Obviously it's a cool feeling, but like I said, we still got our overall goals of getting to the first Robertson Cup and franchise history. So.
Air Force commit, you're off to play at Air Force coming up, is that correct?
And not next year, year after.
Year after. For you, what does that do to your game, and how much does that elevate your game, knowing that you don't have to grip the stick so tightly and know that you can just kind of play with ease each and every night? You already got your college commit in the bag.
I mean, obviously that's nice when you're not gripping your stick. I mean, that's when you make really easy mistakes that shouldn't be happening. And the more relaxed you are out there, the better you can play.
It's been kind of fun watching you play with guys like Stephenson and Brents, and definitely a skilled team all the way around. But for you, when you look at your line mates any given night, it's kind of fun being on a team with so many skilled guys, hey?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been playing with those two pretty much the whole season, so it's nice to be able to build some chemistry with them. And the other lines have really glued together nicely too. So we have plenty of skill, and obviously our offense has shown that too. So
Yet another good weekend against Austin. What's it like sweeping a team so many times on the year? Those sweeps have to feel pretty good.
yeah, obviously sweeps feel good, and we usually get a little day off in there after those sweeps, so that's always nice too.
Off to Bismarck this weekend, VFW Sports Center, the home of the Bobcats, and a team that we talked about, real hungry for a playoff spot. They're not used to being in the cellar. What do you expect out of the Bobcats this weekend?
They're definitely going to come out hard. We've had some really good series with them so far this year, so it should be really interesting. They always come out hard against us, that's for sure.
One key to the weekend, you have one that hops off the paper if you guys want to sweep them and lock in a playoff spot?
I mean, obviously our offense has to keep on clicking the way it is, and goalies, as long as they stay like they've been playing before, they should be golden.
Sure appreciate your time here tonight. Good job, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
That's Alex Adams, forward and a rookie for the Minotauros, number 8 in the entire North American Hockey League for rookies. What a season for Alex Adams. Ken Oda joins us again here tonight. It's so much easier when we don't have the technical difficulties. This has happened twice.
Yeah.
Our apologies to all those sponsors that help us out with Tauros Weekly, but some things out of our control some nights.
Sometimes it happens, but at least we always have a backup plan, and you and I are pretty decent at what we do, so we can keep it rolling even if we don't have all the bells and whistles.
I feel like the cameras in HD this might actually do us some favors like this. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like we look a little skinnier up here maybe. I'm not sure.
Hopefully.
Well, they always say when you're using cameras, they add 20 pounds. Unfortunately, we're always using 2 of them. So that's always my joke. On this weekend, Ken, it's the Tauros and Bobcats. For you, what's your best memory of this series since you've been in Minot? You've been here for a handful of years, and this rivalry is just through the roof. And maybe this year it's down a bit compared to where it's been in the past. But overall, do you have a top memory of this rivalry in this series that goes way back into the first portion of Tauros hockey?
I mean, just the celebration in the Mesa Arena when we swept them out of the playoffs a couple years ago. Like that. The crowd was nuts. The whole building was going crazy. The ZAM guys were up waving brooms. It was, the whole building was just on fire. It was an amazing feeling. Obviously, as far as individual moments, some of the really crazy moments stand out. Especially in the early days of this rivalry. But from a pure hockey standpoint, just the joy in that building when we won Game 3 in that series was unreal. And that's as much as it's fun to watch the Bobcats lose, that's kind of why I hope they sneak in and get the 4 seed. I'd love to knock them out of the playoffs again.
Yeah, it will be a lot of fun. Tauros on the year against the Cats, 5-3-2 overall. Minot 15-9-1 on the road. Minot's 18-5 when scoring first. How important do you see that being this weekend against Bismarck in a very tough place to play?
It is important down there. That's a building, like you mentioned, it's very hard to play. It's probably a little easier for our guys than it is for, say, Aberdeen or Brookings, just because our fans are so awesome. We'll have 200 people in that building rooting for us. So there's some friendly faces that helps, but yeah, taking that crowd out of it early is key, because you've seen it over the last 5 years. When they start rolling, that place gets real loud, gets real lively, and it makes it hard to play in.
It's very contagious. You look at a kid like Jared Resigi and 6-game point streak for him. How do you shut a guy like that down in your mind?
For him, he's such a dynamic player. I don't know that there's a way you can completely shut him down. I think the best thing you could do is to make him play in his own end. He's not that he's a bad defensive player, but it's unlikely he's going to score from his own zone. So I think that's the best thing you could do is keep those guys like him and Flatterby pinned down at that end of the ice. If they're playing defense, they're not putting pucks on net.
Here's some of the numbers for this matchup. Goals 4 per game. The Tauros lead that category. Tauros scoring 3.24 per game. The Cats scoring 3. The goals against per game, well, that's a different story. The Tauros only give up 2.5 per game, where the Bobcats are giving up 3.5 per game. So on the back end, that's kind of the story there and the difference maker. But you look at specialty teams, the Bobcats, 4th best power play in the entire North American League, clicks at 23.4%. The Tauros power play currently sitting Tauros power play currently sitting at 14%. That's 23rd in the league. This is a matchup where that Tauros power play needs to improve, obviously, and the kill for the Tauros has been so good. 4th in the league at 85%, Bobcats at 79%, 17th, so kind of opposite numbers there. But
certainly strength versus strength, weakness versus weakness, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. If you look at the history of the series, the Bobcats, it seems like no matter how good or bad they are as a hockey team every year, their power play clicks, and it'll be key to shut that down because, unfortunately, the way this year has played out, we haven't really been able to get those power play goals back the other way.
Should be a good one. You'll have the call on the Tauros Radio Network this weekend coming up.
Yeah, Brad Barud and I are both making the trip down there, so it'll be a 2-man booth, which I think is always more fun. At least it's more fun for me. I don't know. I hope it's more fun for the listener as well, but it's a lot more fun when you're not flying solo. So looking forward to a couple of good broadcasts and then getting back up here and doing some home games next week.
Pre-game show starts when?
7:15 puck drop, so it'll be 7 o'clock on the dot for the Farmers Union Insurance pregame show, and hopefully, like I said, it'll be fun. So much of it depends on how the boys do. We do our best to try and keep the games entertaining. You know that doing the high school and the college games, but in the end, whether or not people enjoy it, a lot of times has more to do with how the players do than what you and I are doing.
Well, anytime it's Bismarck and Mina getting together in any sport, especially in the North American League with the Tauros and Bobcats, it's usually worth the price of admission to sit and listen.
Should be, yeah.
Wyatt Waselunchuck's here. Let's grab him just for a moment and put a cap on this Tauros Weekly show. Waselunchuck, of course, the goaltender coach for the Minot Minotauros, having some technical difficulties here tonight, Waz. That's why we're sitting in front of the computer instead here. But first of all, thanks for some time tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick.
I heard that for you it's kind of been a busy week. You've had the goal pads on as Lucas Murray has been off at the top prospects tournament. What's that like, being back in the practice saddle each and every day?
First 15 minutes are pretty good, and then you kind of realize you don't have your playing lungs anymore. But it was fun. I think the boys had a little bit of fun with it for sure, and confidence should be in an all-time high for our games against Bismarck this week.
You would never believe this, but when I was in the ECHL with the Elmira Jackals as their play-by-play guy, I got called up for 2 weeks. Our goaltender went up to the American League, and you're about 100 pounds lighter than I am. Can you imagine what that was like at the pro level?
I'm sure that was fun. That's the experience, right? It's fun to be a part of for sure.
Sometimes your position might be overlooked a little bit in the success of the hockey team, but for me, when I look at it and the goaltenders and the numbers that they're putting through this year, you work with these guys day in and day out. For you, give us just a walkthrough of what your job is like for the Tauros as their goaltending coach, and a job that you're doing a great job at.
Well, thank you very much. You know what? We get out a little early every day and focus on one or two things that we kind of mapped out during the week and through watching game video and all sorts of things like that. So really, we'll get out 20, 30 minutes early, couple days a week, and just hammer home a few points. But you know what? They're both such hard workers. It's it makes it so easy for me. They never complain. They never have a tough time with anything. They just put their work boots on every day and make my job easy. So.
Two winners there, guys that have winning records on the year. Murray sitting on the .283 goals against average, 90% save percentage. Austin Park emerging as one of the tops in the division. He's got a .225 goals against average, .926 save percentage. Those are like your numbers back in college. How tough is that decision for the coaching staff on who to run with on any given night between the veteran and the rookie goalkeeper?
Yeah, it's very tough. You know what? But Marty and I spoke of that last week, actually. You know what? It's a very good problem to have. We're in a good spot. If one guy happens to falter, which happens in this game, we're so confident in our second guy, if you want to call it that. But we're certainly considering it a 1A and a 1B, and they've both been phenomenal. So they've done everything we've asked of them and more. And Austin having a little bit tougher road to get to where he is. That's a pretty cool story. We talked about that a little bit last week, where here's a kid that was admittedly maybe third on our depth chart coming into the season, and here he is working his butt off and earning starts. So that's a pretty good story for sure.
For you this weekend coming up, the Tauros at the Bobcats, how into this rivalry are you? I know it's your first year with the Tauros on their coaching staff, but over time you have to know what that's like, and you've been a part of it. You played for the Minot State Beavers, so you've been around the block. For you, how into these matchups with Bismarck do you get involved?
It's awesome. You know what? Having an organization that is so competitive right down the road from us. These games are everything for us. I felt it the very first day that I walked into their building was, it's a little bit different feeling when Minot's in town. So I'm excited. I'm going to make the trip on Saturday, and there'll be a couple good games, that's for sure.
Final thing I have for you, you've done just a fantastic job with a venture of your own, this goaltending camps that you've put on in the summer. Can you just give us a quick rundown on what that's all about,
Yeah.
and your duties of teaching young and old goaltenders of how to play the position so well, just like you did back in your day?
Yeah, exactly. You know, as soon as I finished my last season at Minot State, I kind of thought, hey, you know, what's something I can fall back on? What's something I know? And this is all I've ever known. So I dove right into goaltender development. Now in the last year, I have now, started running Excel goaltending, which is a goalie development camp that runs. I run 5-day camp throughout Western Canada. This summer so far, I have 6 camps booked that I'll be doing starting the end of July all the way through August. And then I'm going to bring it down here to Minot. We're going to have one the second week of September, and it's a pretty cool way to make a living. It's pretty rewarding working with kids that age, and just kind of being a mentor for kids. You see a lot of yourself in all these kids, and I take great pride in that. So, I've said it before. Whether it's Lucas Murray, who I'm working with, or it's a kid that I got to tie his skates, it's all the same to me. It's awesome.
How do you get more information if you're a goaltender watching the show out there tonight? How do you get more information? How do we get signed up and learn how to play the pipes like you did?
Yeah, excelgoaltending.com. That'll be my plug, ACCEL, goaltending. And, check our website. We're all over the internet.
2013 ACHA Player of the Year when the Beavers won the national tournament. Obviously, you know your stuff. How are the Beavers going to do at nationals? That's the final question for you.
Oh, we're ready for a big run. But you know what? A lot has to go right. To win 4 games in 5 days, lots has to go right. So, you know what? You just take it one game at a time. We're kind of waiting on our first play-in game, and just to find out who we're playing. And you know what? Take it one shift at a time. That's truly all you can do in that tournament. I've been through it where I lost my first game. I've been through it where we won our last game. So, you got to just go out there and work hard and have no regrets. That's the one thing that I can tell these seniors and our upperclassmen. Don't go in there and have any regrets. Go out there and do everything you can. And don't leave anything in anybody else's hands. Take care of yourself.
Sure appreciate your time tonight. Great job with the Beavers and the Tauros and with the XL goaltending stuff.
Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it.
That's Wyatt Waselunchuck, the goaltender coach for the Tauros. That's going to do it for us tonight here at Elevation at the Minot Country Club. Special thanks, as always, to Mr. Mike Miller and his staff at Elevation and Farmers Union Insurance as well. Tauros are on the road this weekend in Bismarck taking on the Bobcats. You can go online to the Tauros Broadcast Network and catch those games, Tauros and Bobcats, at 7:15 Friday and Saturday. That's going to do it tonight here from Elevation. Special thanks to Wyatt Waselunchuck for joining us, Ken Oda as well, of course, Alex Adams and Luke Davison. I'm Nick Hulberg signing off. We'll see you next week here at Elevation. Until then, have a good night and a good week.